Our contributors tonight joining us via Skype, actress and activist Deborah Skelton and Doctor of Social Ethics Charlotte Laws. Our contributors tonight, the editor of LAMetBlogs.com, Ruth Waits, and Doctor of Social Ethics Charlotte Laws. Charlotte, I'll begin with you. James Fish will be charged with manslaughter. Do you have any sympathy for him?
I have total sympathy for him. I think it's very difficult for us to judge someone unless we have had terminal illness in our family. This is a new business model,
right,
and they're popping up
Absolutely.
all over the country, and top chefs and people with advanced degrees are starting these companies with their lunch trucks. I understand they might be able to get a waiver because many people get waivers, and they go through that. They should go through that process like anyone else, but they shouldn't be able to get special consideration only because they got an article in the LA Times.
All right, okay. All right, listen, I love this flat tax idea. I don't know why one must pay more than the other, Charlotte.
I hate the flat tax idea.
Why?
You know, we have businesses leaving this state in huge numbers. They did a study, and they found that California was third from the bottom as far as being business friendly. Only New Jersey and Washington, D.C. were worse.
Even days are smoking days, odd days are non-smoking days?
That's right.
Oh, you guys are crazy.
The crime is down in this city, and this city is dysfunctional.
Violent crime.
Totally dysfunctional.
Violent crime has gone down since 1994. It's gone down 18% in this entire country. And property crime has gone down 20%
We're talking about Los
since
Angeles.
1973.
We're talking about Los
what
Angeles.
I'm saying is it's true across the board. It doesn't have anything specifically to do with Los Angeles. Is what
This
I'm trying
city
to
is
say.
for...
So in a sense, I appreciate what he's trying to
Charlotte,
do.
Charlotte.
But what's really funny about this whole story is the Gaddafi thing, because apparently no hotel wanted to put him up. So then he wanted to pitch a tent in Central Park, which I think is hysterical. Like somebody said to him, it's really safe in Central Park. That's where you should be. And then they wouldn't let him go there. So he's going to the Libyan mission. And a couple of days ago, there was a New Yorker walking his dog, a dog named Maggie, and she peed on the red carpet that they had laid out for Gaddafi, which I think is really funny. It's like the sentiment of America.
Go Maggie.
But the main reason I think they should not go forward with the prosecution is because I think for practical reasons, it's a problem. She doesn't want to testify. It's causing her health-related problems. She could lose her job. She already got a settlement, reportedly of $500,000. We have the situation with the taxpayer having to pay for the prosecution, and every single inmate in California costs $49,000 per year. He's not a threat to society. He's 76 years old. He doesn't even live in the United States. So I think, and the prosecutorial misconduct, which you already mentioned, there's a lot of practical reasons not to proceed, in addition to the fact that the victim does not want to testify. But the other thing they lack at the airports with security is common sense. We have a terrorist watch list now that reportedly is at like 500,000 people. Some of the people that have been on this list not too long ago, Nelson Mandela, Senator Ted Kennedy, Loretta Sanchez, the congresswoman. You have Joan Rivers, a 76-year-old Jewish woman who they deny entry onto a plane. You have 89 children on the no-fly list. 14 of them are under the age of 2. Baby terrorists, that's what they're worried about. I just think the common sense is gone, and I think that's how the American people feel. And the regular person is going to end up paying for that.
Oh my God, they're going to have, they're going to have to pay tax.
I think we need to cut programs. We need to have fewer government employees. We need to stop giving the union so much control in the state, because they may see the prisoners as customers and want to retain them as long as possible in order to get as much money as possible. So those are the kind of things to look at. But I do think a pilot program makes sense. And it was so disheartening to see all this water pouring into the street when we have a water crisis. But the infrastructure in Los Angeles is falling apart. They had signed an agreement with regards to internet usage and emails, but they had not signed anything with regards to a pager or any other kind of electronic device. And they had been told that if they went over 25,000 characters in their texting, that they would have to pay for it themselves, which they did. The plaintiff in this case paid out of his own pocket. I go back to the fact that we spend $10,000 to $11,000 per child per year in the state of California. Smokers are the black sheep in the family we call California. Between 20 to 50% of the people in this country admit to cheating on their spouse at least at one time in their life. That's a huge number. And so how can regular people justify it for themselves and yet criticize celebrities for that kind of behavior?
What do you think about that, David?
That it's the city's responsibility to pay for police protection and cleanup and traffic-related issues with regards to an event.
But Charlotte, Do you think witnesses would be intimidated testifying?
I think that some might, and so I do agree with the time delay and allowing people to be blacked out if they wish to be. They're also supposed to be nonprofit, and they're being used for commercial purposes, and that's what the city is objecting to so stringently. Some people feel that they should be prescribed through pharmacies. That's another possible solution. It's just out of control, and I think that we need to enforce, and I don't think we should be a sanctuary city in Los Angeles. I think Special Order 40 needs to be overturned. Way before he was famous, when I was 18 years old, I used to go to Tom Jones's concert, and there'd be different comedians for different shows. It would be the warm-up act. And so all the women would be sitting ringside, including me, and we'd be putting on our lipstick and getting our hair all nice before the show. So we weren't interested in the comedian. In fact, the goal was to ignore the comedian and do not laugh under any circumstances. And out of all the comedians I ever saw, the only person who made me laugh was Jay Leno. And I said, he's going to be successful someday, and he is successful.
You know, two things I'll say about that story. First, if you've seen Jay Leno work live, he is hysterical. And second, somehow it does not surprise me, you were in the front row at the Tom Jones concert.
I think it's a very difficult job being governor, and that's something that Schwarzenegger found out when he got there. And talk is cheap. It's very easy to say we're going to reduce waste, we're going to fire 40,000 employees. But even Schwarzenegger said a couple of years ago that if you do fire the employees, you're going to have problems with public safety.
35, 40 years from now? I'm worrying about tomorrow. Tomorrow is the end. We got to fix it now, don't you think?
I think we need to start fixing it. I totally agree. And I think people are starting to realize that. There's starting to be more and more pressure on legislators both in Los Angeles and in Sacramento.
Charlotte, good job. And Charlotte, I do want to bring up one point, and it surprised me somewhat. You said you had been to 9 schools. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you were expelled from 8 different universities before...
I was a bad girl.
Well, you were a good girl tonight.
Overeducated.